compromised by and build a just society. But what we have seen is a society compromised by those who have mutilated and weaponized this document to serve their interests rather than the people. People with questionable credentials are leading us in high office in leadership, surrounded by an elite that benefit from the status quo and I would say patronism. Poor people remain the losers. They are back to default setting. You know, Eric, winning election was just the beginning. The real test is about governance. Leading a nation involves navigating complex issues, balancing diverse interests, implementing meaningful policies which go beyond political strategy and requires genuine problem solving and visionary leadership. It's not about forming a coalition or a broad based government. The solution to Kenyan problem is not political. The economic problems is not political. So I would say the 2010 constitution was designed as a beacon of hope, a social contract between the government and the people, enshrining our rights and responsibilities. It was meant to guarantee the rule of law and protect human rights, ensure transparency, accountability. Instead, we witnessed deliberate erosion of these principles. The judiciary once has been a beacon of justice has often fallen short, appearing inept or unwilling to stand to those who undermine the rule of law. You know, corruption and impunity have taken root with those in power, acting above the law, disregarding court orders, operating with blunt disregard for the principles of justice. It has become in many ways a banana republic where the rule of law is disregarded, those entrusted upholding instead trample on it. The constitution, which was meant to be our protector, is now being twisted and manipulated against us as a tool used to oppress, silence, and control any dissent. Eric, we have seen the rising incident of police brutality, enforced disappearance, abductions, the persistent disregard for court orders. The very institution meant to protect us are being used to instill fear and suppress dissent. I think we need the judiciary failure to accept its independence and enforce accountability has only, I think, those who seek to undermine our democracy and rule of law. I believe this is not what the framers of constitution envisioned, and it is certainly not what Kenyans wanted. I think we are at a critical juncture where complacency is. We must confront the reality of these abuses of power, demand an independent, courageous judiciary, insist on restoration of integrity in our institution, fight for truly democratic and just Kenya for everyone. I also think we must be vigilant, united those who seek to undermine our constitution. The accountability bar, I think, has been raised, but we must ensure it is met. I think the constitution is not just a legal document; it's a living, breathing contract that requires our active defense and commitment. It is the cornerstone of our democracy and shield against tyranny. So I think as we reflect on these 14 years, I think let's recommit ourselves to the spirit of Katiba and to the relentless pursuit of justice, equality, and accountability for all Kenyans, as Morara and the rest are doing. I think Morara and Boni are doing an excellent job to do that. And I think we should also be part of this civic education. And I would say the Constitution still remains a beacon of hope, only if we defend it with the vigilance, courage, and unity it deserves. We cannot afford it destroyed by those who swore to protect it. So I think and thank you to the speaker, Morara and Bondi, and hopefully among you will meet on Sunday. Thank you, Eric.
Asante. Thank you very much, Abdi. It's Morara, Abdi. It's not Morara. But thank you. Thank you for that contribution. Let's try you, Josephine.
Thank you for the correction.
Let's try Josephine again. Let's hear if we'll be able to get you this time. Josephine, you have the mic. Okay, so there's a problem with your connection or with your gadget, Josephine. We still can't get you. Kigan, you have the mic.
Thank you so much, Eric Latif, for this great space that you have given us today. I believe it touches on so many things. Sorry, I joined late because I was also not aware that it was going to be there, and I'm also traveling, so I just had to stop just to maybe give my input. So mine would probably be less than 2 minutes, as you have given us. Now, when we talk about accountability, those are some of the things that were brought up by the recent demonstrations by the Gen Z. But then we also had occasions whereby, people who believe for a good cause that the Gen Z originally stood for, and I supported, actually went ahead and, they started collecting money. Now, when we talk about accountability, Eric, we must ask ourselves why other people are not able to account for the monies that they themselves collected in order to cause for change. Now, when I talk about change, Eric, I talk about change that does not include anarchy. I talk about a constitution of 2010 that we said we shall review after 10 years. So when we cause anarchy to bring change, Eric, we totally against what the spirit of the whole Gen Z was about, because I believe that is why most of us nowadays are on spaces, though some of us utilized this before it became popular. Now, as for my good friend Morara, I will call you a good friend because I have no enemies. I am at peace with everyone, even those that don't have the same ideals as me. You have talked about provoking. It is good. What you're doing is right, but I also believe that there are powers that are pushing you towards that direction. These powers may not necessarily be, committed to the change that we need as a country. Now, we had Gen Z generals. Yeah, I want to refer to them as Gen Z generals. The Gen Z generals, we know them, and we know that they had their few minutes of fame. So others will also have theirs before it is done. So my good brother, Morara, I see you're a lawyer. I'm only getting to know more about you now. Please remember, before you, there were many. After you, I do not know how many will be left. But please, let us do things in a structured manner, in a way that also brings Kenyans together. Yes, civil education is good, but please let us do it in a better manner.
Gigan, what better manner would you propose?
You see, I see the way that they try to do things is, first of all, when there was public participation, Eric, I expected that the same people that wanted to shoot down the finance bill would actually be part and parcel of those talks. Why do I say this? Every one of us, Eric, even on your shows, you would highlight these things. Even on social media, you'd highlight these things. How is it that they, the Gen Z, never came as a group to participate in this? So now the better way is this: you cannot be leaderless, you cannot be formless, tribeless, and whatever less. Okay, sit down with the leaders of the day, because those are the ones who are chosen and anointed by God. And remember what the Bible says: if you go against those that He has chosen, then there shall be repercussions.
I want
All
to
right.
say something.
Oh, yeah, I want to give you Morara opportunity here to right of reply, because Keegan says maybe you're acting under the guidance of some other powers.
I want to assure Keegan that I'm acting on my own behalf, and yes, I'm supported by Kenyans. Those Kenyans that support me, not all of them I'm sure about their character. There are people that support me who they themselves have their own issues or their own questions, their own questionable characters. You see, when you're in a political mind, you don't get to choose who supports you. I don't pick and choose my supporters. I'll be supported even by criminals. For me, the bigger picture is, where are we headed? Now, you say we need to have structured engagement, and I am telling you that there's no structured engagement you can have with a thief, that has stolen your money. The only thing they can do ni kukupanga, kukucheza na kukupigisha vipindi. There is no other engagement you're going to have with them, because they don't come to the engagement with clean hands. They come to the engagement to try and shut down your movement, or to try and bring you down for trying to question them on accountability for money that they've stolen from you. There's no conversation you can have with them, because what will this conversation look like? Will we be telling these corrupt politicians to return our money that has been stolen? Do you think that is a kind of a conversation we can have, that sasa tumeamua tuketi chini tuongee, hii pesa mmetuibia sini mingi, tuna request kama mnaweza rudisha kidogo? That's nonsense. It cannot work in any believable way. The other thing is, you talk about moments of fame. Well, I don't think fame is important. I believe that everybody, famous or not famous, should do the little that they can do. But you should not be annoyed or jealous if somebody else is famous. Remember, this thing comes, and it does not come. Sometimes it comes to people that don't even want it. Some of us, we didn't even wish to be famous, because now I'm living a life that I didn't want to live. Cannot go to a hotel and have tea. I cannot walk on a corridor without pictures of me being taken. So I'm not really happy about the fame, but I'm glad that now I have a bigger platform and a bigger following to continue championing for issues of better governance and an end to corruption. So
Thank you.
please do not be cheated to believe that everybody does something for fame. Some of us actually do these things because we care. And it's not that before we started doing these things, we had nothing to do. We were actually very busy with our lives and had things to do. So the last thing I want to tell you is, stop weaponizing religion. That bullshit of telling us that people have been chosen by God is utter nonsense, and it belongs in the dustbin. Because the only way Kenya was colonized is because people came here with a Bible telling us that they've brought us the word of God. That is the same weaponization of religion which people are using when actually churches are laundering money for politicians. You find a church owning a helicopter, a church owns a beach plot on behalf of a politician. God did not choose for us thieves. We are the ones who elected these thieves. We are the ones suffering the consequences of these thieves, and we are trying to find a way getting rid of these pieces of shit that have made a shithole out of our.
Enough, Morara. Thank you very much.
Thank you
For that.
thank you
And
so
Kigan,
much,
thank you as well.
Morara. I
for
have
your
heard you.
comments.
Eric, also thank you. I may need to go to the listeners now, because I will not be able to take part in any further conversation, because, as I said, I was traveling.
Asante.
I believe Morara will have another chance to have a conversation. Eric, thank you so much, and keep up the great work. Thank you.
Asante. Thank you, Kigan, and thank you for joining the conversation. Yes, we'll take all. I mean, we are talking about our constitution, and our constitution says let's engage. And so it's important for all of us to engage respectfully, and engage on all matters. The next person I want to give the mic to is Anthony Muriithi. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. That people in government are not asking themselves the very pertinent question. If our leadership is Saul fell out of favor with God, he appointed people like Morara. And the same Saul treated Morara the same way people want to dismiss Morara. My next answer, who has given Morara this job? It is we, the Kenyans, who have appointed him. We have appointed him and given him that duty to go and tell us This is not working, that is, and we support him for that. Him and other millions and millions of Kenyans are having this conversation today. And if work was so good, this conversation will not be happening. Lastly, Mr. Latif, Kenyans have organized themselves, and I'll say it here today to all the 1,000 listeners here. Some of us in our spaces, I co-host with Andrew Tibe every day on X. Kenyans have organized themselves on Telegram. We have a group that is over 1,000 members strong, structured in a very organized way, from people in diaspora to fundraising to organizing, at people who are looking at how can we reconstitute this constitution, what clauses do we need to look at. We have lawyers on that panel, doctors, engineers, everything. That is how bad governance makes people. It makes people come together, identify their strengths, and start looking for a way to save themselves. We have a WhatsApp group that is big, and we are still trying to organize for better governance. And let me tell this government one thing. 2027, that battle will be fought online, on WhatsApp, on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on the ground. That is what they are not seeing. And it will hit them in a way they have never been hit before. Because let me tell you, Eric, the only space they
Anthony,
change
2
this
minutes.
is on this one. Thank you, Latif.
Thank you, Anthony. Next speaker, Mariam, you have the mic. Wairimo Mariam.
Yes, thanks a lot, Eric. I hope you're doing well. I do have a quick question. Yeah, thanks. I do have a quick question for Morara. It was very interesting to hear him run through the counties and some of the ghost projects that are being done and what is being quantified as development. So my question was, who advises the counties, rather who quantifies what is termed as development in the counties? Who's responsible for that, Morara? That was my question, actually, Latif. And where is this information found? Thank you.
Thank you. I think, Mariam, the best person to respond to that will be Bonnie, who's been looking at these counties.
Sorry, Bonnie was speaking. Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Bonnie is here. Bonnie, you can respond to that.
Happy to answer that. So the question you asked is a very important question. And there's no law, there's no guidelines that tells these people what's development. I mean, the idea is to use your common sense, right? To me, the premise of development is we are equipping the people with the ability to attract investment. You are basically setting up the county for growth, right? So things like infrastructure, things like communication networks, things like roads, right? Things like utilities that are there, power, things like that. But when you really look at these counties and the way they're spending your money, oftentimes they change things at the end just to make sure that they fit into the law. So, for example, I've seen counties where they buy fertilizer, right? And they might call it recurring expenditure, but then at the end of the fiscal year, when they see that it's going to be over 70%, all of a sudden they call it, development. I was just going over the example of the county of Seattle, right? You cannot tell me that building or fencing offices for the MCAs is development. That's not, you're not developing anything, right? When you're digging boreholes, right? When you spend money building offices for your politician, that's not development. And if you want to look at, if you really want to get an idea of what we are doing with people's money, just look at a county like Turkana, right? Over the last 10 years, Turkana has received 100 billion shillings from you and I, because that county can only raise 1% of its budget. 1%. So you send 100 billion, and then you look at that county at the end of 10 years and you say, how much development do we have? Have we seen an improvement in terms of literacy rates, in terms of access to healthcare, in terms of schools, in terms of basic services? Almost non-existent. Roads are not there. And you look at a county like Turkana, they can only raise 1% after 100 billion in investment. They can only raise 1% of their budget. They can only support themselves for 3 days out of the year, right? And when you look at even what they call own source revenue, 50% is from market charges, 25% is from slaughterhouse fees. I mean, what are we doing? How do you invest 100 billion to end up collecting money from a slaughterhouse? Does any of you want to have a $100 billion shilling slaughterhouse? So it's not just saying we need 30%. We need to actually put people into office that knows what it means to develop a country, right? Again, I go back to my point is that 90% of these issues can be fixed by putting the right people into office. If you put in someone there who's not serious about development, you're gonna end up with the situation that we have right now on our hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bonnie, and I'm sure you've responded to that question. There are very many other comments also on the comment section. And please continue here so we can continue with this conversation everywhere. DJ Blizzy says, it's not like I'm inciting anyone to violence, as Morara has said, but we have got to fight for our children, and if not for us, and making sure that, we get the right accountability from our leaders. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that the president is clueless. Please alert everyone that this is a manipulation tactic. He's aware of what he's doing. Accountability is the key. That's what Samsung is saying. We need to start involving youth in a mass voters card registration and push for a new party will make us occupy every seat in 2027. That's Mawera Nick. The conversation continues there. If you'd like to speak, raise a hand or request. I'm going to give you the mic to speak. 2 minutes, please. Juliet, you are up next.
Oh, thank you so much, Latif, and thank you to Morevi Anthony for telling me about your platform. Great to be in this platform listening to citizen accountability. And I want to appreciate Senior Counsel Morala and, of course, all the other key speakers who are speaking. Mine is just short. I'm listening from London here today as a Kenyan diaspora. But let me tell you, singeweza kufikiria that itakuja siku ambayo Kenyan sisi tutataka kufight corruption. And that is beautiful. And I want to celebrate all the efforts that Kenyans are making. And in particular, I want to celebrate the Gen Zs and all the platforms such as this. But I also want to inspire you with a quote here today. Corruption destroys humanity and kindness. And I'll repeat that. Corruption destroys humanity and kindness. And I wrote that a few years back because I felt that that is something that is really destroying our country. And so I'm really delighted to just be part of this program, to listen to all the efforts. And it is we Kenyans and every one of us took on a responsibility to fight all what is happening in our country at every level, at every space, and ensure that we bring our country back. Asanteni.
Thank you, Juliet. The Real Joe, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Latif, for the space and for having this forum so we can be able to engage. So mine will be very quick today. For me, I don't want to really say that our constitution is 14 years old. Probably because for me, I don't think it's a baby that was born, has not been brought up properly, and therefore the baby is malnourished. The baby is supposed to be 14 years old, but still looks like a very small child, like a baby. And therefore, we cannot say it is 14 years old. So we still need a lot of work to do. Having said that, one of the very, very fundamental things, and I draw this from the preamble of the Constitution, is if you look at the preamble of the Constitution, it talks about a government that recognizes the values of human rights, equality, freedom, democracy, social justice, and rule of law. This is where we're getting it wrong, completely. We're getting it wrong from just the very, very fundamental aspects that our Constitution was driving. You look at a leadership that is very, very selfish, making decisions for their own interest and not for the interest of Mwananchi. And just like Morara has said, we are in a crime scene. We are not in a country. We might even say we are in a failed state. The news every day, I'm shocked. There's an MP trying to bring in an act to limit people trying to exercise Article 37. And I look at this as an assault to the Constitution. Someone who doesn't understand the history of our Constitution and the history of protests in our Constitution and what protests have been able to make us achieve in our country, including even the repeal of Section 2A, then you see that this is a leadership that is only pushing its own agenda. And we have to put an end to this madness. And therefore, I thank the people like Morara who are currently doing civic, we are calling it civic education. I'm going to call this civic evangelism. We are spreading the civic gospel. And therefore, this is the best way to do it. We are winning the information war.
Thank you.
We need to continue pushing. And this is how we get no. As I wish, Harriet Tubman in one of her sayings said that I would have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves. Let us ensure that people know that they are slaves so that we can free them from this slavery. Thank you very much, Latif.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. 2 minutes, Grace Olwa. Grace Olwande.
Thank you for the. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Grace.
Yes, thank you for the mic. I think I have 3 issues to address. First of all, I want to thank Morara for the good work he's doing, but I've just seen a post he was with the government spokesman, so I hope he'll clarify that as well. But as I continue,
He has already clarified, Grace.
if we look at education sector, teachers are not paid well. To an extent, the government has not released the medical cover for teachers. So if generally we look at teaching, at education in general, it looks like buying yourself a Range Rover, and you know very well you cannot afford to maintain the Range Rover, you cannot afford to fuel it, and that is what is happening in our education sector. This system of education, I think the government was trying to implement it, but again, because it is very expensive, the government is not in a position to establish it. Because if we have schools, children learning under the tree, and we want to implement CBC that actually needs practical work most of the time, and also more teachers with less students in the classroom, then it means that this system actually, it's a charade, it's not working. That is number 1 on this education sector. Number 2, if you check the newspaper of yesterday, it is said that most of NHIF workers, managers, don't have a Form 4 certificates. And the ones that have a Form 4 certificate, they are forged. So you can see the kind of regime we are dealing with, which cannot even respect the aspect of education as equalizer, and also does not give people who really deserve to be there opportunities to be there to lead or to work. Last but not least, I also want to talk about where Kenya has to pay 14 billion extra in pipeline construction deal. This is when Treasury failed to release the money that was supposed to be compensated to the people who gave their land to the government, and the contractor is charging around 2-point-something million each and every day. So as much as we want this accountability, the first sector that we should be attacking is the Treasury. And they should be telling us, why are they not releasing money on time? That is first question that we should be asking them. Secondly, when they fail to release money, like the way I saw it, last week is when they were releasing 30 billion shillings to the counties. So it means right now we have a constitutional crisis and the Treasury cannot really account for our money. So those are the questions that we should be asking ourselves. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you, Grace. Thank you very much for that input. Chris, you have the mic for 2 minutes.
Hello, good evening.
Go ahead.
Hope you're seeing me. Hope you can hear my voice. Okay. First of all, I want to thank Morara. I want to thank Bonnie, and I want to thank you, Latif. You know, we are at a point where, as a country, we were given two options that were not good for us. I didn't vote for Ruto. I voted for Raila. But over the course of the last 2 years, I've realized he wasn't an option for us. I don't regret it, but I want people to take this issue with civil education so serious, because we have reached a point where the corruption in this country is at a level that you can't imagine. Nothing is working. I believe every country has its own issues, but at the moment you audit every county. I have been going through the books of Auditor General's report regarding Busia County, where I come from. You can see how people, or I'll say organized crime on public finances happens. People are just stealing day in, day out. There is no report that you will find that is clear. Every report has issues. Money can't be accounted for, and yet we are paying taxes for it. Every individual now getting out from school, be it in a college, be it in an university, be it in a TVET institution, there is no work, and that is the reality. And anybody getting work, it is the payment is pathetic. You can't keep up with providing for yourself. I remember another MP in Tanzania was talking about issue of ministers and government telling people to employ themselves. Aliuliza swali simple, wewe mwenyewe uko na miaka 40, umerudi kwa wananchi wa kuandike kazi, umekampeni ukashinda kura. Hao vijana wa miaka 20, miaka 18 unawaambia wajiandike wenyewe, watoe wapi hiyo uwezo wa kujiandika kama wewe mwenyewe ulifikisha miaka 40 na ulishindwa kujiandika kazi? So the reality is...
Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's leave it there, so we can take as many comments and participants as possible, so we can continue this conversation. More, Robert, you have the next 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, mine is just to thank you, Morara. Keep doing the Lord's work. Unafanya kazi nzuri sana. Don't listen to those who are against you. Keep on doing that job. Is very important. Right now, we know where our money is, where our money goes in form of being a student. But the key thing about Katiba at 14 is that we started on the wrong foot. You see, from 2013 when our general election, that's when this constitution was supposed to come in full force. After 10 years, we revived it. But what happened is that we put people into office, the president and deputy president, who violated the 2010 constitution, chapter 6, to get into power. So if I come to your home now, Eric, if I come to your home, I get you are not there, I break the door, and I go to your fridge, I get a drink, I sit down, I start drinking. And when you come in, you don't say anything. There is something wrong with me, definitely. So how did you expect Uhuru and Ruto, who violated chapter 6 of the constitution, to respect this constitution? And that's why you see from 2013 until today, this constitution is being violated right, left, center. People with integrity issues, people who are corrupt, the DPP who are supposed to be independent is being tossed around like a toy. He's being told, release this, Kamata, who you name it, there you are. So until we get somebody who is ready to implement the 2010 constitution, we are going nowhere. Hata nimalizia hapo, lakini don't expect anything. Expect Kenya to continue getting into deeper into poverty, into debt and everything, until we get somebody who is ready to tackle corruption head on and to respect the 2010 constitution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to give a few moments to Bonnie Mwangi to speak to us, because Bonnie has to drop off and get onto other engagements. Bonnie, what would you say is your exit remark? And then we shall extend this. I hope, Morara, you can stay with us for another 20 minutes so you can hear few more people. Bonnie?
Yeah, can you... Hello.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead,
Okay,
Bonnie.
thank you. My party message for Kenyans is this, and I said this before: the time for passive citizenship is over. We have, for a long time, in my view, left governing to, and I'm just going to call it like it is, clowns and thieves. We need to get involved, because if we don't get involved, we end up in a situation like the one that we have on our hands. It's a serious issue. We need to fix our country, and we're not going to fix our country by having the same people that have put us there fix it, right? Right now, the reason why we have 11 trillion in debt is because our parliament has not stepped up and made sure that they hold the executive branch accountable. You cannot raise debt by 450% when you can't show that you have the ability to service that debt. We need to get involved. We need to make sure that we're choosing the right people in office, and we need to hold them accountable. Do not be a passive citizen. That doesn't work anymore. Thank you for the opportunity, Eric, and everyone for joining.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bonnie, and I hope to engage with you again soon and in the future just to highlight the issues that you've been raising. Keep doing the good work. I'm sure everybody will clap. Anybody who's able to clap for Bonnie as he leaves, just go ahead and put up that emoji, clap for him and say, Asante Sana. Keep doing the good work that you're doing, Bonnie. We are behind you. We are supporting you. We are waiting to consume all the information that you churn out for us. Keep doing that, Asante Sana. Ndinda, you have the mic for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Latif. I think my submission is very simple. At this point, I feel like we should extend this civic education to civic participation as well. Because my feeling is that, for the longest, Kenyans have just been participating through voting. And it's for the very first time that we are seeing that the process of governance is more than just voting. I mean, it's just with this protest that I can see a lot of us Kenyans are becoming aware of things like how can we recall our MPs. So I constitutions in the process of governance, like at the end of voting, that's not where things end. Then the second thing I would speak can vie for these seats and they can execute because they know what is expected of them. And as a movement, the last thing I would say is just to keep on sharing each other's work. I don't think every one of us has a big platform or like such big influence, but if we keep on sharing each other's work, because as Morara said, and a lot of other speakers have heard, it's like everybody should do whatever little they can. But I think to push that little, there also needs all of us to like push each other's work. I think that could be very helpful. That's it for me. Thank you for hosting and thank you everyone for joining, and I'm happy to hear from everyone.
Thank you, Ndinda. Mizani 254, you have 2 mics, 2 minutes rather with the mic, and then Kenya, you also have 2 minutes. Actually, so we can accommodate more people. It's 1.5 minutes.
Well,
Mizani, go ahead.
That was quick. Thank you, Eric, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. I'll make it very quick. In 2007, 2008, a child that was the age of 5 could comprehend what was happening, and therefore today they are the age of 22. on the 27th of December 2007-2008 post-election violence saw to a number of Kenyans losing their lives. And the 27th of August, like we speak today, August 2010, we would have then a new constitution. So as I speak today, we are looking into Tuesday being another anniversary of 14 years. And one of the fundamental questions that we have failed to respond to is, what is justice? Many believe that justice, it's all about who have their day. But eventually, if you look through and sieve through, Kenyans have been asking about economic justice, social justice. We've even asked about political justice. And because time is not on my end, I will refer us to the first stanza of our national anthem as my closing remarks. It states, or rather reads, "O God of all creation, bless this our land and nation." And interestingly, it goes to justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace, and liberty. Plenty be found within our borders. This country has been sold peace, but nobody talks about justice and nobody talks about the plenty that comes with it. It is high time that Kenyans, as we advocate for citizen accountability, we demand for more justice, even as we procure for peace. Thank you, and I do appreciate the time, Eric.
Very well said, Mizani. Very well said. Justice be our shield and defender. Mkenya, 1.5 minutes.
Thank you, Eric. I'm here specifically to talk to the young people and the young people of this country, Kenya. I'm here to urge you guys to know that we have a huge responsibility and a huge role that we are supposed to play in making of the new Kenya that we want. So this aspect of civic education, I want us to take it as our personal responsibility. Any small role that you can play, whether it's in the village, whether it's in the city, whether it's in the ghetto, any other place, make sure you take this responsibility as your personal responsibility, because the political class doesn't have the time and doesn't have the time. We have all the time. The next 30 to 50 years, we will still be around in this country. So guys, don't let our country go to waste when we have an opportunity. Thank you. That was the message to all the young people like me. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Mkenya. Boni Michi, 1.5.
Thanks, Latif. Thank you, Morara. Don't be cowed by guys like Kigen, government apologists, who might want to derail you. We love what you're doing and we support everything that you're doing. I want to talk about two things, Eric. I'm really concerned about the SHIF and university issue. Our education system and the health system. William Ruto cannot, Kenyans know, everyone knows, cannot come out with a policy, a system to help Kenyans. Why are we allowing them, the crooks, to destroy the two fundamental systems in a country, the health system and the education system? Those are the two reasons that can take me back to the streets today. So, to fellow Kenyans, let us not allow these to see the light of day. I've insisted since the time we started these demonstrations, SHIF will kill our health system because the intention behind it is clear: to steal, not to help people. NHIF was working, at least to some extent. It has worked for me. I've seen it work. Why scrap it all together? The HELB has helped people to go to school. It has taken students to school and we've seen it work. Why scrap it all together? Come up with a ghost thing that we don't know where the tail and the head is. We can't allow this to happen. So as we are commemorating this anniversary of the Constitution, those are two things that the Constitution states clearly are rights. The health, the education is a right. Let us not let Ruto ruin that for us. That is all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Boni.
Guys, do not give up. We are on.
Asante, Boni. Redemptor, 1.5 minutes.
Asante sana, Eric. Thank you to the other speakers who seem to have left. Mine is in keeping with the topic, Katiba at 14, as citizens, accountability comes of age. 14 years is a teenager who is just becoming self-aware. If you have ever driven teenagers in a car, you know if they have gadgets on their hands, they will not even look up, they will not look on their side. And Kenya is exactly there. They were doing fine until they started hitting potholes and the vehicles was swerving off the road, and then now they are screaming. Now they've put their gadgets down. A previous speaker asked who decides on what developments will happen in the county. Just as a point of information, that I was very old when I discovered what CIDP is. This is a County Integrated Development Plan, which should have come as one of the best things that came with devolution. Unfortunately, there was no civic education on Katiba in 2010, and it was left to the drivers of the counties. And some were drivers with criminal intent. They had no goodwill, and so they did not encourage citizens to know their rights when it comes to public participation, except the county of Makueni. I had the privilege in 2022, December, to go around. I went around 4 counties to find out how CIDP and public participation works. For your information, a governor is elected in August or September, and CIDP, the budgets have to be done in December of the same year. And what is decided in that short period is what will happen in that county for 5 years. So when I see launching and I see a lot of debate about how it happened, it's because if there's no goodwill in civic education, then CIDP and public participation also fails. My last submission is based on a speaker who came here and started using words that I've heard, that is anarchy, criminals, goons. These words are about Article 37, which should not be a cause of death. The criminalization of voices of dissent is someone who wants to take us back to the old days. Article 37 came so that those who have died, so that people can speak up, so that Morara can do what he's doing. They did not die in vain. And we cannot afford for people to come and use these words so that they remove part of the Constitution. Those are my submissions, and thank you for the time.
Thank you, Redemptor. I'll be closing the conversation at past, but we will close with a parting shot from Morara. So before then, I just want to pick a couple more speakers. Kennedy, you have the mic next, and then Nyorude, you'll come in next 1.5 minutes each, and then we'll go to, I'll see who else I'll be able to pick. Many people have requested. I'm just randomly picking and trying also to balance between gender and all. Kennedy, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Eric, for the opportunity. I think without mincing words, we are in an active crime scene. The only missing element is being coded off by the police because they've turned out to be the enablers of crimes against humanity. Everyone is speaking about peace, but peace without justice is equally useless. You know, the rule of law, the essence of the Constitution, justice is the Constitution. So the moment the rule of law and constitutionalism is only applicable to the poor, then we do not have a country here. The role that most of us have been doing of civic education is to ensure that citizenry benefit most from the government policies and programs, something that has been left in the dustbin. Public participation is no longer what it is envisioned in the Constitution, rather a political event where people with differing political opinions get an opportunity to misguide the citizens while using them as stooges to pass their own selfish agenda. The only thing that we can do as a people is to always resist, because if defiance becomes a norm, then we have to resist every other attempt by the executive to usurp all the powers that is bestowed upon these independent institutions. I do ask myself in most instances, how independent is it that our institutions are? They are not yet independent. We are comparing Kenya to developed countries. What we fail to acknowledge is that thieves are being hanged in those countries. When you speak of that, they tell you there is no rule of law in those countries, yet they are doing very well. So as a people of Kenya, it is high time we remain strong because we are on our own. These guys are united to finish us. Thank you.
Kennedy, asante. Nyarude, 1.5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Eric, for the opportunity.
Mine is to adopt the submissions by most of the speakers to the extent that there is need for citizen vigilance insofar as accountability, pushing for accountability and transparency is concerned. Two things. One, for the longest time, there's a lot of vigilance towards what happens at the national level. My challenge would be that it's about time that we also focus on the counties in our own local ways, in our own little ways. We focus on what happens at the county, because counties are subset of the national government. Why is it important? It's important because a rough estimate, if you take hypothetically that every year county governments getting allocated 400 billion as equitable share, then in 10 years, that comes down to 4 trillion that they have gotten in 10 years. It's about time we ask ourselves, have we gotten value for money for the 4 trillion that has been spent in the default system of government? If the answer on this, your guess is as good as mine. Therefore, it behoves every one of us to push for accountability at our own local level. Let those who play it at the national level play it, and let those who play it at the local level play, because at the bare minimum, devolution was meant to devolve or to transfer power, both fiscal and political power, to the grassroots level. And lastly on this is that there is need to ensure that we hold our leaders accountable and check all the processes of the budget. For the longest time, people have been focusing on the formulation stage and neglecting the other stages. Therefore, it's important that we also pay attention to oversight, which is the execution stage, to ensure that which finally got money allocated on, is it spent and is it prudent use of resources? And therefore, if we do not take part in choosing how our money is mobilized and spent on us, then we'll be losing it. Thank you.
Asante. Thank you very much. Sami Moraya, economist, and then after you, we'll hear from Moto Kitchen.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Eric Latif, for the opportunity and for the interest of time. I'll take the shortest time possible. First of all, I want to, I'm so delighted for the good work that Morara Kebaso is doing. In fact, Morara was my junior at Kenyatta University when I was in second. I was in third year, he was in first year. And I'm glad for what he's doing. And for now, what I can say, Kenyans, we have come at a place that we can say we have become angry enough. And we have become angry enough because of the free education that was offered for us by President Kibaki. So when a generation become enlightened, it's not easily manipulated. What I can basically say, our country has been a crime scene. For example, I have been looking for the projects that are being carried by the county government through the offices of the MCAs. In a ward like Lanetu Moja, where I come from, in Nakuru, you find that a construction of of modern toilet in an ECD center called Mireroni, it was budgeted at 1.4. And again, to make the matter more worse, the ward administrator's office, it was supposed to be fenced, and it was allocated 2 million. I was at the ward administrator's office yesterday. There was no offense there. So what I can say, the economic crimes that are in this country are beyond control. So the government, instead of overtaxing us, let it come to its senses, cut its expenses, fight with the rooters, and fight the corruption. And as an economist, I can say there is no any single country that has ever grown through overtaxation of its citizens. What they are supposed to do, they are supposed to expand they are generally supposed to expand the tax base. And again, according to the new funding model at the university level, that funding model is venomous as venom itself. And again, there is a lot of evil things going on with this NGCDF thing. Because when you see that the MPs are given that mandate to do some construction work. Hello.
Time is up. Time is up.
Yeah,
Sami.
yeah. Let me Patriot. I'm finishing up. When the MPs are giving them a date of foreseeing works like the construction of toilets, construction of streets and classes, how I wish we can go back to our parliament and bring back the public works, and the public works will be the ones who will be controlling such works. And now the MPs, the legislatures, they are left with the they are left with the work of making laws in our country. And thank you a lot for the opportunity.
Thank you, Sami. Moto, and
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Linda Stewart from Delaware, Moto Kitchen. And I wanted to chime in to somebody's comment who had encouraged everyone that, we have a role to play as the public. I always say the public because, we are the citizens versus the government, with the policies that they continue to implement without our contribution. So we, at this point, in as much as we are speaking about the policies and where the government has failed us, I would kind of like to throw this statement to my fellow Kenyans so that it can marinate and sink into your mind as we continue with the fight. Because pretty much right now, with the war in Ukraine, we are actually going to enter into a season of tribulation where we're going to experience famine, for several years. So for me, I would encourage the people who are back home and have generational wealth in terms of land to at least start investing in farming. I know there's many people there who don't utilize their generational wealth, farmland that they've acquired from the family. So is one critical component that I'd like to encourage you guys. And then I'm going to do my part also by pulling my diaspora team to see how people can also start
Hello everyone, and welcome
tapping
back
into
to our
their
channel.
families back
In
home.
today's video,
thank
I'll
you,
be
Linda.
showing you how to connect
Then
cPanel
one more
to
statement,
GitHub
sorry,
in
that I wanted to
2024.
say,
Complete
it is
to
unfortunate that
just we'll have to go
our government has failed
so
to
I'll go
protect us,
access to
knowing the role that Kenya
reader.
plays in Africa
And if I don't have
when
it,
it
I'll have
comes
to
to
start
trade and
with this email,
investment
create
and the
the goods.
infrastructure plan. So I believe that we're in a
So yeah,
season where
now
we
we are
have
logged
to
in into our
fight
GitHub
to
account
liberate ourselves, because
or
if we
control
don't, we
panel,
are going to end up
and
being
here we are.
slaves. So
So
keep
what
up
do
the
we need to
fight and
do?
know
Is
that
simply
Kenyans
go
have always been resilient,
to have this
and we are the
public or
ones who are
private
going
once
to
I've
carry the
already
world
access on
through
this
this
account.
season. So don't back
This
down.
go, of course,
Let's do
make
what's
sure to
right.
initiate the
Thank you.
repository with a
Thank you,
README
Linda.
file to get
Conversations are
started.
continuing as well
Of
on the
course, you'll be
comment
able to
section
put
where
course
it's
code into
very
that. You'll
engaging.
be
You
able
can
to
go
get
in there as well and
so
add your
now
voice
what
to
you'll need
this.
to do
We
simply
want to
go
hear
within
quickly in
the
this
cPanel
order
or access the
Tevin and
cPanel
then
file
Dante
manager. So
and
within
then Daniel
cPanel,
Muli.
navigate to the file
Tevo, go
manager.
first.
So of
Thank
course you
you
can
so much,
go
Eric, and
and
nice
look
to
for
share a
you
platform
have
with
online file
Morara,
manager.
who was dispensing
Have like
wisdom
even this option
carelessly.
here of file manager.
Everything
Just
this
go and click on
government
that file or
touches
even
is
go
either
through
fraud or a
through
scandal.
the cPanel.
Now they are
This will be
printing new
cool.
notes,
Of course,
costing
if you wanna
taxpayers
like
money,
go through the
15
online
billion
like
Kenya shillings.
take you even to
Yet
kind
they
of the
have
same really cool. Of course,
shares on
your file
Delaru.
manage and
This
the
government has sold us to the
files
highest
here.
bidder,
So make sure
and
to go and upload this
look
inside
at the
like
livestock bill
this
brought by
folder
Kimani
in
Chungwa,
here.
land
So
bill,
upload
price
every
control bill by Tabitha Mutinda, nights and oil crops bill by Hamida Kibwana. Our food system is under attack. The Maisha cards have the microchips. So you talked about the TB vaccine on your show sometime a while back. I went and did a research. I found that this vaccine is being tested in 100 years for first time in Kenya. They're currently injecting people in Kisumu, Machakos, and Mombasa. I always discuss on Bill Gates and IMF policies on my page, and anyone can follow me. So I want to conclude by a quote from a great leader, Thomas Sankara, that it's either we drink champagne with a few, or provide water for all. We are Kenyans, and Kenya is our business. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tevin. Dante.
Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you so much, Morara, for the wisdom you've been giving us the whole of this since we started this fight. Now, what I want to tell our fellow brothers and sisters and Kenyans in general is that we are not supposed to relent. Let us keep fighting, because at the moment we've reached we've reached a top notch where the government is also afraid of us, and we are keeping on injecting. So my fight goes against the new university funding model. That thing really sucks because the children of the poor cannot go now to the school. Look at the student leaders today. They met the president in the state house and they were given some small tips to go and fight this thing to be injected to the student. Now, let us fight this thing because we need to learn, we need to be educated so that we can fight and know what is best for us. Let us keep fighting until the last time, because these guys are currently making bills in parliament that only helps them and keep them alive till the next election. Let us keep fighting so that in the end of it all, we win, all of us. Thank you.
Asante sana Dante. Daniel Muli.
Thank you so much, Eric, for this opportunity. First, I only have 2 points. First of all, I want to congratulate Morara for everything that he is doing. I believe he is giving the president and the entire government sleepless nights. And I wish that all his videos would be shared widely and to everybody so that the government, specifically the president, will not continue taking us for fools where we are lied to on a daily basis. That is point number one. Point number two is, or my fight is with the issue of ghost workers. And the former CS actually said that has been a problem, that has been that is a plague in the government. And there are audit reports showing that every year billions of shillings are paid to ghost workers. Early in the year in the Narok County, the audit report stated that they had over 500 ghost workers. And any staff who is employed by the government can actually walk into any financial institution using their payslip and acquire credit facility. Now, assuming those 500 staff in Narok County each took a loan of $1 million Kenya shillings, that is over 500 million that has been stolen that Kenyans will be left to pay for it. And I wish that the issue of ghost workers can be demystified so that we can be able to understand which county, because I've been in management, every month before payroll is closed, I had to confirm the number of staff within my department, within my branch, before that list can be sent to payroll for salary processing. So the question that comes in, are there people in charge of ensuring that there are the ghost workers within their department? And if so, what are they doing about it? Lastly, the accounts being deposited, that money, the people who are withdrawing that money can be traced, yet the government isn't doing anything about it. So I'd wish that further we can be able to look into the issue of ghost workers and expose that theft and close those loopholes, because we are losing a lot of money to ghost workers. Thank you very much, Eric, and continue with the good work, Morara.
Asante Daniel. Let's now hear from Maureen Mwenswa. Maureen? Okay, seems Maureen is not able to join us, or maybe has stepped aside away from her gadget. But thank you very much, everybody, for this conversation tonight. As we are saying, it's 14 years of the Constitution of Kenya. It's 14 years when been seeing citizens engaging on various platforms, taking up their role, calling out for accountability, demanding better service of the government, and also demanding better of ourselves as a people. We must continue doing that. As a people, we have a role. We have a role to demand better of each other and better of those that we elect to lead us, and even those that we put in various institutions so that they can go ahead and provide services for all of us. Somebody has mentioned about the role of citizens in public participation. The first thing is a push for proper legislation on public participation as idealized in the Constitution. The Constitution premises every decision of government to first go through public participation for citizens' input to be put in, and so that then that becomes a decision of government. Is there a law that governs public participation? The answer is no. I think that's one of the things that as we go into 14 years of the Katiba, we must look at. How do we engage when it comes to budgets? Boni Mwangi has, done the work of looking at how money is being spent and how budgets are being implemented. The same thing is happening with Morara. How our budgets are being implemented. How do we, as citizens, participate in the budget making process? There's a county integrated development plan, CIDP. Every 5 years, counties review this. There's the annual development plan that then informs the budget for every financial year. How well do you know this? How well do you participate in this? How much information do you know? Even if you do not go for a meeting, there should be ways in which you're able to submit your thoughts and your memoranda on this. How much do we do that? How well do we engage on our budget making process at the national level? Do we only come in at the tail end when you're talking about the finance bill? Do we participate in thinking about the programs that ought to be implemented by the government? This is all a role of citizens. It's a responsibility that we have. We need to take this one seriously as we demand accountability from government and accountability of ourselves. Before Morara comes in and gives us his final thoughts and closing remarks, I want to go around our other speakers tonight. We had Annette Nerima, who is a public finance specialist and a practitioner. Let's hear from you, Annette, your closing remarks.
Thanks, Latif, and to all the participants tonight. We really appreciate the opportunity to join the space. And so for me, I've listened the entire time, Kenyans actually having a conversation on Katiba, and it all boils down to the fact that Kenyans will not be able to realize the social benefits that have been secured in the Constitution. And this is all happening because we have individuals with questionable integrity in the governance of this country. And these are the people that we have given the power to be able to ensure that they deliver these social benefits to us. And as I close, I think one of the things that is important to even raise, right now we see individuals who have come in, for example, when it comes to matters public date, they are reckless to a point where they're engaging institutions that give conditionalities that are not in the interest of the ordinary Kenyan. And so they would come back and extort through taxes from Kenyans just to be able to service their selfish interest at this point. When you talk about education, right now, broadly what we are seeing playing out is a privatization of public services, including the health and education as well. So these are questionable integrity, because a person of good faith, a person who has the interest of Kenyans at heart, would not sit on the table, not even fathom privatizing some of these public services, because the people who benefit from these services are Kenyans who are in the low-income cadres. And devolution in this constitution in particular, broadly across very many articles, is geared towards ensuring that they provide services to them. Look at Article 43 of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights as well. And so as Kenyans even continue to raise concerns, a good opportunity was presented for the government or the leadership of this country to put it right through bringing on board a new cabinet that will be able to perform, would be able to serve Kenyans. What have we seen? A recycling of same individuals with questionable integrity. We have seen them bring even more. And right now we have a cabinet secretary who is more than willing to introduce the eco levy. And just a few months ago, just a month ago, there were the people who were posting some of these punitive taxes in the finance bill of 2024. What has just changed? For me, right now, as Kenyans, we are, I would say that we have a government where we have the people versus the politicians. And it's high time that we need to ask ourselves, because politicians have recouped. They have come back bigger and better in their own way. Right now, we have seen the president, for example, go back to default mode, where he keeps on promising Kenyans of goodies that may never ever come, and launching of ghost projects. As Kenyans as well, it's an opportunity for us to regroup and ask ourselves, elections are coming.
repository for
What
you.
can we do? And I'm happy with the
In
good
the
job that
repository
Bonnie
name
and
text
Kebaso
box,
are doing, because
enter
right
the
now
name
what
that
you
you
are
want
doing
the
without knowing,
cPanel
maybe
interface to
you're already
display for your new
campaigning with
repository.
information,
If you
enlightening
want the
Kenyans
system
and
to
telling
return
them,
you to the
and
create
also the
form after you
campaigning the
create this
political class, that these
repository,
people do not have the
select the
interest of
create
Kenyans.
another
These
checkbox
people
down
have
here.
questionable integrity.
Then,
And I'm certain
click
that come
create to
2027,
create or
people
clone
will
the new
elect
repository.
in a sensible
If you
manner.
clone a
People
very
will
large
elect from an
repository,
informed point of
it
view.
might
And
take the
mine is
system
to
a
urge
while to
Kenyans
finish
in their
cloning it.
own capacity
We'll
to
handle
do
that part
that
in the
which they can
background
do best
and let you know when
within
it's
their
done.
skills, and also based on
For each
information and within the
repository,
law,
this
to
table
ensure
shows you
that
the
we spotlight
repository
this
name
government,
and the
to ensure
repository
that we
path.
are informed, so that come 2024 we can see the change that we have always wanted. Because at the end of the day, we need a change, but not this government is going to give us the change. They have already curtailed the civic freedom or civic space. It's no longer be abducted, but let's ensure that we engage as much as possible to create the change that we have wanted. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Annette.
You can click Manage to update the repository's settings, but we'll get to that part in a second. You can click History to navigate to the Git web interface, which lets you view the repository's history and files. Or you can click Remove to end cPanel's management file and the repository path. You can click Manage to update the repository's settings, but we'll get to that part in a second. You can click History to navigate to the Git web interface, which lets you view the repository's history and files. Or you can click Remove to end cPanel's management of the repository. After you click Remove and then confirm the action, you won't see the repository in the interface anymore, but we won't touch the files in the repository. If you want to get rid of all of the files, you can do that manually in the File Manager interface, or use any other method you like. If you want to see more information about the repository, click the arrow to the left of the repository name. To clone this repository to open the repository's directory and file, be careful what you do here though. If you make modifications to or delete the .git directory, it could break your repository. Click Manage and a new interface will appear. This part of the interface has two tabs. Under Basic Information, you can modify the repository's display name or check out a different branch. You can view information about most recent the clone URL. After pull or deploy, see the currently checked out branch and head commit information here too. On the right side, if you've ever deployed the repository, you'll see information about the last deployment here. You can click Update from Remote to retrieve new changes from the remote repository. Click Deploy Head Commit to deploy new changes from the cPanel hosted repository. If you want to know more about deployment and how it works, watch our Git version control deployment videos for all the details. For more information about cPanel, visit cpanel.com or follow @cpanel on Twitter. Thanks for watching and happy automating!
Hi there. This is Lawrence Simon, a technical writer on the documentation team at cPanel, the hosting platform of choice. I'm here to tell you about the email accounts interface. To send and receive email, you need an email account. cPanel makes it easy to set up and manage email accounts. This video tutorial will show you how to manage existing email accounts on cPanel. If you would like to see how to create an email account, we demonstrate that process in another video. Let's go ahead and log in to cPanel. Here we are in the cPanel home interface. Let's scroll down to the email group and then click the email accounts icon. The email accounts interface will appear. The counter at the top of the interface says that we have 8 accounts, and this account sales package has a quota of 25 accounts. This table lists the email accounts on this cPanel account. You can search for an email account with this search bar. Just enter what you want to search for. I'll go ahead and clear the search bar. You can use these filters to search for restricted accounts, the default account, accounts over their storage limit, or show all accounts. This pagination tool lets you flip through pages of accounts. Click this gear icon to set how many accounts will appear on a page.
And it belongs straight in the dustbin. We are at home. We must do constitutional reforms. We must flush this toilet of leaders who have taken hostage of our country. We must finish corruption. We must finish weaponized incompetence. We must finish budgeted corruption in our governance. And you, my friend, who is listening to me, can do something about it. You don't have to be Latif. You don't have to be Morara for you to do something. In your little space, in your little place of influence, in the office where you are with colleagues, in your church, in your chama, when you are out on a date with your boyfriend or out on a date with your girlfriend, spare 5 minutes to talk about bad governance. That is the way we are going to change our nation. Everything begins with a conversation. Everything begins with words. In fact, the earth and heaven as you know it exists because the word came from the mouth of God and it became reality. Kwa hivyo, don't fear to speak. The more you speak, the more people listen. And the more they listen, the more they realize. Do not be discouraged. Usihost Twitter space watu wakuje watu 10 uone you know now me I'm not a big wig, I'm trying, I'm failing. No. Unaona hao watu 10, those are your disciples. Make sure you transform the world with your 10 people. There is something every Kenyan can do with their skill and with their talent and with their access. If you are a government official, you work in the government, you are here listening to me today using a fake account, you're worried that you might be fired if you speak too much. Don't worry. Tumia hiyo pseudo account yako, inbox us, tell us about what is going on in our governance. Give us the information. Give us the ammunition. Because serikali unapata in a whole ministry watu wanafaidika na hii wizi ni watu 10. The rest are wallowing in poverty, wamekatwa mapesi paka pesa imeisha. Government employees, you are 1 million of you. Msiogope kutetea taifa lenu. Come out and defend it. Like that officer who gave me his payslip today for me to prove to Kenyans that the government did not add police constables 40% salary. It was only 13%. That is a brave man. Everybody akifanya hivyo, I can tell you Kenya will be redeemed and it will not take long. And you people should not be worried. At the street protest imeisha. The only reason we did not succeed is because other Kenyans did not join us. And do you know why they didn't join us? Because we didn't spread the gospel to them. We didn't give them the memo. They are unaware of what is going on. They are politically illiterate. We must make sure local radio stations, Muga FM, Kameme FM, Minto FM, Egesa. We must go to those local stations and talk to our people in the language that they understand. Remember, when you speak to people in a language that they can hear, it goes to their brain. But if you speak to them in their language, it goes to their heart. Make sure that in the little space that you occupy, you do the little that you can do for the betterment of our nation. I, as Morara Kebaso, I pledge my loyalty to the people of Kenya. I am your public property. Do not be cheated by bloggers posting pictures and what have you. That is hot air. I am stupidly loyal to the people of Kenya and to the cause. I will not abandon you until we get good governance. And I'm not interested in any governance position or political. I don't want. I just want good governance. Nirudi nikafanye biashara yangu, I will be on Forbes list. Kwa hivyo, biashara ya tokenism, siasa ya tokenism where we are given gifts and we abandon the cause. Ati unaongea kidogo unaitwa, unapewa kakitu. You abandon the people of Kenya. Again, we start looking for another person to take your place. We are not going to lose anybody else. Hii Kenya tutaikomboa. Kwa hivyo, mtu yoyote mwenye anakuwa offered those kind of gifts from government officials, don't take them. That is your money stolen from you. Mtu hawezi kuibia tena atumie hiyo pesa yako kujaribu kukuhonga. Kwa hivyo sisi wote tuwe very loyal to the cause. And let us do this not because we are gaining anything or because we are earning money from it or because we stand to succeed. In any case, some of us stand to lose. But let's do it because we care about our nation. If we die, so what? Who will not die? Even our killers will die. So don't fear. Msiogope na msiuziwe uoga. Fanya civic education. Nyinyi watu 1000 nyinyi. Na nimewahesabu. Nyinyi watu 1000. Kila mtu anipromise leo jioni. Ukienda, utasleep over it. Tomorrow morning, you will touch 2 people or 3 people with the civic education. Nitajua kwamba we've been able to reach 3000 people. Don't abandon the mission. We are going to succeed. It's just around the corner. Do not be discouraged. We are in this together. Use your talent and your skill and your knowledge to do whatever you can do. If you are an engineer, tell us that this road is being built badly. That according to engineering laws and according to this and this and this, the mixture of concrete is poor. They still use this poor. Tell us, if you are a civil engineer, tell us about our public project where money has been stolen. A road is built. It is supposed to be a 7-meter carriage, a 7-meter wide carriage with 2-meter walkways on both sides. And then the road is built, iko tayari na potholes 1 month later, haina passenger walks. Engineers, come out and talk about this. You are a lawyer. You can see illegalities. Come out and talk about this. You are an artist. You can sing. Come out and sing about this. You are an actor. You can act. Come out and act. Do entertainment as you educate. You are a content creator. Create content about this. You are a photographer. Skill. You are a hacker. Hack those websites and get us that information. There is something we call ethical hacking. Wacheni kubembeleza hawa watu and they don't play by the rules. If you can get yourself into IFMIS, no, tulete information, later. We are ready and we are tuko tayari kuiweka out in the public. Wewe usiogope, ingia kwa hizo. Msikuange mnaingia tu kwa KPLC kujinunulia tokens. Ingia kwa hizo website za hao watu, tuletee information which they are hiding in those systems about the theft, the wanton theft of our public funds. I want to tell you that I don't believe that this government will do anything to advance good governance, because they cannot work against their own interests. These are people wenye wamekula na hawashibi. They have a bottomless pit of greed. We must flush them out, and it will happen. And I thank God that it will happen during my lifetime. Thank you. Have a good night. Pray for me as I pray for you.
Morara Kebaso, thank you very much. A round of applause, please. Just go on to the stickers and put the claps, and let's all clap for Morara Kebaso. Let's also clap for Boni Mwangi. And you can follow Morara Kebaso on his X. You can just click on his account and see he is Morara Kebaso Senior. And also Boni Mwangi, who's been speaking to us as well, civic education, an economist, CPA. He's Mwangi Boni. Follow him as well. They have been doing some good work. Asanteni sana everybody for joining this space. We'll host another one soon. But remember,
trade with unmatched financial security.
What
Exness,
is
born
it
to
that we
trade.
see working for our constitution? I am one of those people that believe that we don't need to touch a single dot or cross from this constitution until we fully implement it and adhere to the spirit and letter of the constitution. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day, good night, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Until the next time. Herini.